Thank you, Jim. Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. You know, I love being part of Toastmasters. You're always learning new things, like table tappings. Well, actually, I love just talking about fish now. I'm all excited about that topic. But you talk about table topics. Oftentimes it's capricious, but you learn stuff even then. Recently, Jeff was talking in table topics, and he mentioned a merchant. Yeah, I can't remember, he was selling something that was really big, like a smartphone or a video game console, and it was new in the market. He was selling it for cheaper than everybody else, and they were lined up outside the store to buy this thing, and they're coming in, and so finally one of the customers says, "How can you sell it for so cheap?" And the merchant says, "Well, you know, I lose a little bit on every sale, but I'm making up for it in value." And some of us, we use our time, we run our time, we manage our time like that merchant manages money. At the end of the day, oftentimes we have a whole bunch of more tasks to do than we have time to do it. Some of us, maybe you're not in that category. And so what the trick is, we need to learn to manage time better. And one of the most helpful things that I've ever learned about time management came from Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And his third habit was put first things first. And as he described that habit, he said, you want to take a look at what you're doing, your activities, and put them into 4 categories. The first category are those activities which are important and urgent. You know, for instance, it's the middle of April, my taxes are due tomorrow. I haven't started yet. That's an important task. It's also urgent. The house is on fire. I need to get out of bed and move into the street. Important and urgent. The second category of activities are those activities which are important but not urgent. For instance, I come to Toastmasters once a week because that's important for me to improve my communication and leadership skills. Not urgent, but important. So I come in the morning. Maybe it's I exercise regularly so I don't have a heart attack. It's not urgent, but it's important. I develop relationships, because I want to have strong relationships, and it pays off in the long run. Then activity, the third category of activities are those activities which are urgent but not important. Those meetings we have every day, the phone calls we get, the messages for one day only sale. And then the fourth category are those activities which are neither urgent nor important. For me, those are things like keeping up with the latest news on the internet. For someone else it might be, playing the latest video games by yourself. Things that aren't necessarily important or aren't urgent, but the time sinks. And so the trick to managing time well is to just try and put more of your time in the correct category. You want to spend more of your time in category number 2, not in category 1. If you're in category 1 all the time, you're an adrenaline junkie. You'll need to have coffee because you're always running around. But if you're in category 2, hopefully you'll be reducing those urgent needs. You'll be getting to them before, and you'll also be putting time into things that will develop you as a person. One thing that Stephen Covey recommends is take a look at your life and say, is there one thing, what one thing or 2 things that if I did them regularly, they would make a large difference in my life, in my personal life, or in my professional life. It could be like, well, if you're at Toastmasters, it could be like exercise, it could be, spending time in a relationship. Those are things that you want to take and invest time into intentionally, and you can steal time from one category 3 and 4 in order to move them over to category 3. And don't be like that guy that I was seeing on the 11 o'clock news. Now, I date myself, but in the old days, before we got all our news from the internet, there used to be the 6 o'clock news, which you could watch during dinner, and the 11 o'clock news, which you could watch before going to bed. And one night I'm sitting there watching the 11 o'clock news, and as I'm watching it, there's this guy standing on a ledge, and he looks like he's about to jump. And the people below are going, "Don't jump, don't jump." And my friend sitting next to me says, I bet you $5 he jumps. And I says, no way, he's not dumb enough. And so I took the $5. And sure enough, the guy jumped. And they carted him away in the hospital, in the ambulance. I'm not sure how he did. But the guy, after I paid the $5, just walked out a confession to me. I watched the 6 o'clock news. I saw him jump. I says, well, you know, I watched the 6 o'clock news, and I saw him jump, but I didn't think he was stupid enough to do it again. So don't be like that guy on the news that jumped at 6 and 11. Change your life, use your time better, and have a better life. Mr. Toastmaster.